Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR to sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Rudo, AJ, and the man with the couch, Evan, here again to talk about
the man with the couch. It's not the man on the couch. It's the man with the couch.
The man near a couch.
There is a couch around him.
We're both in front of seats.
True. Look, that was a preseason hockey game. All right. There were a lot of things that it was, but it was mostly that. As the Avs lose 5-2 to the Minnesota Wild in a game where, if we're being honest, they dominated most of it at 5-on-5 outside of like 1 5-minute stretch in the second period. And then their special teams were but.
Yes.
I don't know any other way to put it other than that. They give up 3 goals on their penalty kill, which was very, very bad. And ultimately, no one really cares about the result of this hockey game, right? It's preseason.
No.
Does not matter in that regard at all. What mattered is who played well, who looked good, who looked bad, who's starting to assert themselves in earning roles and things like that with the Avs. So
I do think that this was a good game for that, that it was a good game for a little bit of separation from forwards who you might consider for that final forward spot if, with Landeskog out and with Curtis McDermott not getting any preseason ice time at forward. It makes you wonder if they're really just considering him a defenseman for the time being, or even really like what his role is at the moment, because he's played a couple preseason games. He's played on defense in each of them. Are they just assuming, hey, you're comfortable enough at forward, you don't need we're not going to bother giving you time there. We're going to give it to other guys because I like that approach. But I do think that this was a good game for separation for those battles, those roster spots, those, some of these guys we can go ahead and just be like, we didn't really think they were part of it to begin with, but after tonight, I do think that there are a couple of guys we could probably chop off the list.
The cuts got a little bit easier for sure. Do want to get into the forwards, do want to start with the defense, I think, because it will be very quick. 4 of the 6 defenders on the lineup were never in the conversation for an NHL roster spot anyway. So cool. You already mentioned the McDermott conversation there. And then Sam Girard, his first game back since his injury, looked fine. Neat.
Neat. He came out alive. That's all I care about at this point.
Right. He took a hit or 2, popped right back up. So seems like he's totally fine.
Okay.
So that was that. And then the other defenseman worth actually talking about is Brad Hunt. Had very good shot metrics, if you're into that type of thing. Had a couple of shifts where he was flying around the offensive zone. Anything particularly noticeable to you guys?
He had very good shot metrics because he shot it like a million times and none of them hit the net.
This is going to be what I have to say about Brad Hunt, is that I don't think they're going to love that he's just like, oh, I have the puck, I'm shooting it. I think it's the other extreme from the guy that refuses to shoot, where you're just like, please, dude, you're by yourself. Just shoot the damn thing. But with Hunt, like, he would just get the puck and he's just throwing it into traffic over and over. And you're like, dude, you can wait a beat and like try to make a play. And he just wasn't doing that. And I think that given how important the defensemen are in generating offense for Colorado, that willingness is fine, but he just needs to tone it down just a touch. Let's just calm it down like just a touch. But overall, Brad Hunt is, I'm pretty familiar with the player. He looks like Brad Hunt. Like, this is kind of just who he is.
Sure. So not a ton of conversation there.
No.
Do you guys want to talk about the other D? Zaravlyov did play in this game as far as someone who could be an interesting related to the Avs at some point. Kind of a weird game for me. I think at times he looked very, very good. And then at other times, particularly when his first option wasn't a good one, you saw him start to feel the stress of the smaller NHL ice, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's been okay. I've kind of liked what I've seen, but he's obviously pretty limited in what he can do with the puck. So that's going to kind of limit him moving forward. But to be honest, the Avs' defensive depth, beyond the Hunts and the McDonald's is pretty not great. So, he has stood out, I think, from some of those guys below that where, the Avs used a lot of defensemen the last couple of years. I could see him, chipping in and playing a few games here and there. So, and he's like most Russian defensemen, he's more than comfortable on his offside, which, a lot of other defensemen usually aren't.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to pick between Nate Klerman, Danila Zhiravalov, Andreas Englund, and Keaton Middleton getting into a game for the Avalanche, I think Zhiravalov has done a good job already, just being like,
I won't be a problem.
You can trust me with a puck. And those other guys, you just... No. I'm not trying to be rude here. I really don't want to dunk or anything like that, but those guys have not been impressive. I think Zhiravalov's all-around profile stands out more than those guys. But again, it would take you getting 4 or 5 guys, maybe 4 guys in to your depth to get to him.
Well, and you look at this game, right? Since we're saying, hey, look, these guys didn't play very well. And it was pretty clear that something was not implemented correctly as far as the way they wanted these defensemen to play, because look at where Minnesota's goals came from. 4 of the 5 are all literally point blank right on the doorstep where there's just not a defenseman covering the back door at all. And that happens sometimes, but it was pretty clear there was a mix-up in coverage there pretty consistently tonight for the Avs. So I don't even know if I would chalk up a ton of that to the players. It's just, training camp has started 5 days ago, and the systems aren't really there for some of these guys yet.
I would say it's a little bit disappointing that Curtis McDermott was such a up close and personal spectator.
Yeah.
In on a handful of those goals, because like Andreas Englund or Keaton Middleton, guys like that. I know Middleton wasn't in this game, but like guys like that, and like whatever, right? Like you're not really expecting them to do anything, but this is a guy that played 50 some odd games for you last year. Now I know, again, lots of forward time there, but this is a guy that has a regular spot on your roster, and for him to continue, he's played twice this preseason, both on defense, and both have been bad. Not like, oh, well, there's an upside here, there's an upside there. Like, he whiffed on killing a guy the other day that might have gotten him suspended. So, probably was a good thing. Honestly, like, I'm mildly disappointed, but I mean, we've had these talks about McDermott. He's much, much better suited to 4th line forward, big tough guy. Your kind of modern day John Scott sort of thing, where he came up as a defenseman, so he's still back there. But really, seriously, he cannot play defense in the NHL. He cannot do it. He is bad. He should stop getting this look. Stop doing this to him. Yeah. It's not helping. It's not helping him.
It's a tough look, not just for him, but for the other guys you mentioned too. Englund, even Amat, a bunch of bigger guys that are supposed to be hard to play against, and the other team's getting free goals in the front of your net.
Yeah.
The guy who took a penalty for taking a dude out in front of his net was Sam Girard.
Sam Girard. I just really wanted to reemphasize that point.
Yep.
That Sam Girard bodied Sam Steele in the Battle of Sam's, and he won. I guess it was like their Highlander fight. And Sam Steele got his head cut off and lost all his power, and Sam Girard now owns him.
Sam Girard is always very, very willing to let it be known that if there's another small man on the ice, he is the stronger small man.
He wants you to other know. Small guys.
He wants everyone to know that he is the strongest small man there is. There will be no discussion.
Yeah. There can only be one
He's
Sam. Yes.
asserting
it is
his
correct.
dominance.
World's smallest strong man. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, with McDermott, it's like, well, this is what you get when you don't have Makar, Taves, Byram, all those guys to just completely shelter you for 6 minutes a night.
One defenseman in Colorado's top 6 played tonight.
Yeah.
One. And it looked like it. Like, if you would have told me after watching that game, if I didn't know anything about it, you're like, one of those guys is in their top 6. And the one that played was the guy coming off major injury in the postseason and this is his first game action since. I'd have been like, yeah, that tracks.
Everything here adds up. So, just wanted to get the defensive talk out of the way there, since there's not a whole lot to talk about there. The other conversation when goaltender Pavel Francouz getting his first start of the preseason, they had bad rebound control, but I feel like he's always had bad rebound control.
We knew
I don't know why people are. Yeah.
So you mean Pavel Francouz played tonight?
Right.
He had bad rebound control. He always has bad rebound control. You have to help him out. He's a guy that needs a little bit of help from the defense. This is not the defense to do that. This group of defenders is not the group that's going to really give him the help he needs to smother those second opportunities. It's just not. And I thought he played like shit. I don't care.
Yeah. Same thing with every guy in this lineup that already, like, there is no question mark about what spot they're playing on the team this year. It's like, yeah, they looked great. Cool. If they look terrible, whatever. It didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely don't even think about it.
Yep. Yeah. I thought Frankie was bad tonight, and he didn't get a whole lot of help. I thought he was bad. There were plays where he's scrambling around. He's got the puck in his feet, and it looks like he has no idea what's going on around him. Don't care. He'll be fine.
Should make a quote graphic for AJ. Thought he played like shit. Don't care.
Yeah. Really. Like, for a guy like Frankie, that come season, he's going to give you more good performances than bad. But when he has a bad performance, this is exactly what it looks like. It's a bad night for rebounds where he's scrambling and the puck tracking isn't very good. And you're kind of just like looking around like, doesn't really matter what the team did, because at even strength, Rudo, you mentioned at even strength, the Avs were pretty much just fine. Yep. Outside of a couple minutes stretch in the second period, the Avs were the better team at 5-on-5 by quite a bit. But it was losing guys in front of the net, losing guys on the back door, and it's rebounds. It wasn't like Pavel Francouz getting beat clean over and over and over. It was the rebounds that were going in. He'll stop the first one, but it's the other one. It's not very good. So, but again, it's fine. This is what a bad Frankie game looks like. It's just not that big of a deal.
Tonight really reiterated just how much I really just don't care about preseason anymore, to the point where I'm like, honestly, like 90% of these Avs players, like the guys that are on the team, if they didn't play them in the preseason, I really would not care. These guys were just playing high-level hockey 3 months ago. Like, they'll be fine.
Yep. Go full NFL with it.
Yeah.
Don't play anybody.
I'm all for like one game at the end. Get them into one game. Let them take it however seriously they want to take it, but give them the opportunity, and then let's move on.
Fair enough. We are brought to you by Game Time. You can go right into the description of this video, click on the link down there to get the Game Time app today. When you do that, maybe a little help from us too. It is a sponsorship thing. So if you want to support DNVR, that's a great way to do it. And you can get tickets for up to 60% off their price.
It absolutely helps us. But also, you could have gone to the Avs' wonderful, thrilling game tonight for $3 via Game Time.
Yeah,
$3.
Which even for this game for $3, like
$3.
Come on.
Where else you gonna get that kind of bang for the buck in terms of entertainment? $3.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So
it's
go over to
better value
today.
than Steam sales even. So
yep,
jump on that.
And Avs tickets are going to be hard to come by for that type of price this year. So jump on that. They got Broncos tickets too. Of course, they'll have Nuggets tickets and all sorts of other stuff for your Colorado sports. Even if you're not local, they have it across all of the major sports across the country. So again, use that link in the description. Check out Game Time today. We are also brought to you by the beautiful people at Avaca TV. If you can't go to the game with Game Time, Avaca can let you watch it from home. If you're in the Colorado area, you can get TV for just $15 a month for the first 3 months and only $25 a month after that. Go to avaca.tv/Colorado10 to get $10 off for the first 3 months. That's evoca.tv/Colorado10. They have Altitude. They have AT&T Sportsnet. They have the national channels. They have NFL Red Zone. They've got movie channels. They've got TV channels. They've got everything you need as far as live television is concerned. And it really helps out, There were conversations today leading up to this game of like, not sure how we're going to be able to watch this one. Avaca TV has that answer for you. Makes it real easy.
The
jump
big
on
concerns in life.
Check out Avaca today and get yourself some real affordable television. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Getting in to the forwards then. I mean, should we just start at the top? Alex Newhook looks ready.
I was going to start at the bottom.
Okay, we can start at the bottom then. It was Callahan Burke and not Andre Buyalski.
Yeah, poor Andre Buyalski is the guy I feel the worst for tonight. Because he is not in that game and at the bottom of shot metrics and getting put on stat graphics and stuff. He did not play in that game. Okay? He is a sophomore at Vermont who does not have a contract.
Is not allowed to play in preseason games.
That is Callahan Burke out there wearing 68 getting rocked.
So that was the thing.
Just saying.
The lineup makers are in preseason mode too. Okay? It's fine.
Yeah, preseason stat sheets are always hilarious. It's because it's like 70 people long. You're like, where are they?
Which guy? Anyway, so getting that out of the way, you wanted to start at the bottom, AJ. Who's at the bottom for you?
So, a couple of guys that we've talked about. Oh, could they make the roster? Could they not make the roster? Where do they kind of fit into this? As the veterans with NHL experience that we're like, hey, we fully expect that the team is taking this seriously, but Sedlak and Bleed didn't do a damn thing positive tonight to separate themselves. Bleed especially, I thought, was not good enough.
He was the passenger of passengers on his line, man.
Well, and part of the PK that got ripped up.
Yep.
And you're like, look, if that's a job that he needs to be able to prove he can handle in order to get onto the NHL roster, he didn't do it tonight.
Yep.
So Sedlak continues to be, for me, not bad, but not good, and just sort of drifting out there. He just sort of exists.
I don't hate the drifting. Like, it's not good, but it's not enough for me to go like, oh, he was terrible. My problem tonight was that on the few opportunities he did have with the puck, he did not make good decisions with it.
Does not look skilled.
Yeah.
Kind of running back the Nico Sturm thing from last year, where you're like, this is just not a guy blessed with very much just raw puck skill. Because when he gets it, he just sort of, it's like, okay, nothing happens with it. It doesn't end up in like this universe bending turnover that creates a 2-on-1 the other way, where you're like, what the hell was that, man? But nothing good comes of it. It just ends. The possession just ends. And then everybody just kind of moves on.
Yeah, at least, I mean, Sedlak, at least he can skate. So I can see why they kind of like him from that perspective. And obviously Bednar's coached him before, but Bleed is just a wholly unimpressive player at the NHL level, to where I don't see it. And yeah, he doesn't move very well. He's a big guy. I guess that's maybe why they like him. He's kind of thick on the ice there, but he's not a very good mover. he has no real offensive skill from what I've seen. I don't even think
No.
I looked it up when he signed it. His AHL numbers are not even that impressive. So
They're not.
I just don't ultimately know, I see him getting NHL games just because he's a guy who has NHL experience, and they always tend to default to those guys, but I don't see it.
Getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but based on the very small universe of 2 preseason games, Martin Kaut has completely crushed that guy as far as that sort of role is concerned.
Yeah.
But good. We'll get to Kaut in a minute. We'll get there. Go ahead.
The other guy that I think that we were kind of looking for something from was Mikhail Maltsev.
Yeah.
And the one big thing that I saw from him was a brutally bad turnover that turned into a 2-on-1 the other way.
Mm-hmm.
That got erased by Shane Bowers busting ass down the ice to stop it from being a clean 2-on-1. Nothing ended up coming of it, but Bowers getting all the way back, Maltsev with another bad turnover, and that's exactly the kind of thing that got him benched last year and sent down. Was a big time, just a big time brain fart where mental lapse. He makes a big mistake. It's not like a little thing here and there, like, oh, I messed this one little thing up, and wow, they're being really unreasonable and holding this against me or whatever. No, it's a big mistake that turns into one of those kinds of things that can change a game negatively for you. And that again showed up again tonight for Maltsev, and there was no big positive to work as a counterweight for that. He just, I just wasn't.
Yeah.
Again,
didn't
for
really
me,
have anything that popped off the page tonight. Yeah.
When I say that this was a game where I think some guys separated themselves, Maltsev did so in a negative way. Maltsev, Sedlak, and Bleed would you have 3 preseason games left. You might play some of those guys tomorrow, and then that's it. Because so few of Colorado's big stars have played at all yet, that the last 2 preseason games should be for those cats to really get tuned up. So for Maltsev, Maltsev, I just didn't think had it, and you've got to think that another missed opportunity for him to either keep up with the pack that started to separate in a good way, or drop back to the pack that separated in a bad way. And unfortunately, I think that's where he ended up tonight.
Yeah. The turnover that you were talking about, it's not just the turnovers, that he got knocked over by a much smaller player. And that's kind of the thing, is that should be one of his advantages, that he's 6'3", at least 6'4".
Mm-hmm. And I believe he's 6'3".
Getting knocked off the puck that easily, that's not something the coach is going to like to see. Beyond just the turnover, it's being soft on the puck.
Well, he's handling the puck in a dangerous situation, makes a poor play with it, and gets knocked over, so he can't get back and defend the play after the fact. It's like the worst case scenario possible.
Yeah. It was all bad things happening at the same time. So, and then Shane Bowers coming back, and now Shane Bowers next guy for me on this list. Not a ton of good, but I didn't see any bad. There was no bad for me on this one. I liked the effort. There wasn't a ton there, but with Bowers, I'm not looking for a ton. I'm looking for more or less what we saw tonight.
Yep.
He's fine. Like he's got good speed. He's got good size. He's a smart player, and he works hard.
Yeah, he was just okay, and that was unfortunately a lot better than some other guys fighting for a job.
Yeah.
And he had a nice breakup on one penalty kill, and he had a few chances in front of the net, but beyond that, he didn't hurt the team or look terrible like some of these other guys.
No.
All right. 2 other names worth talking about here in Olausson and Ranta. I'll start with Ranta because I hardly noticed him at all tonight. Kind of faded into the background entirely for me. So got to be doing more than that if you want to earn a job. In his case, Olausson probably realistically was never going to earn a job with the Avs anyway, but if there was hope for that, tonight probably buried it for me.
So with him, I don't know how you guys felt about it, but there's kind of two sides here that I feel with him, and
Yeah.
one of them, I love the pace that he's playing at when he's in Colorado for the because we saw it last preseason, we saw it this, and we've seen it this preseason. I love the pace that he's playing at because he doesn't play with the same kind of pace when he was in the OHL last year. I've never seen him really play with that kind of pace when he's been in Sweden. Whether for his draft year in Sweden or for the Swedish team at WJCs, he doesn't play that fast. And then he gets here, and they're like, "Okay, you can skate. Go skate." And I love that part of his game. It consistently, I like that. But then it's all the other stuff, I think, is still so much of a work in progress that it just doesn't matter. And then his work on the power play tonight, like, this is an area where he should be set and forget, very good on a consistent basis. Don't even worry about it. And he was not. He was not good tonight at all. I thought he was bad decisions with the puck, way too predictable, way too easy to defend. Just not any good. I didn't like anything about it.
I don't know why he's setting up that way, and this could be the coaches telling him to do stuff, but it seems like the easiest thing in the world to set that dude up the same way they've been setting up Alex Bocage and just let that dude unleash pucks, but he's not doing that.
Well, and I do imagine that it is the coaching staff saying, "Hey, we want to put him in a little bit more of an uncomfortable situation and see what he does outside of that comfort zone of just standing there and being a turret." And for me, it's just not good enough. And like, you're talking about the guy playing at 5-on-4. This is not like I'm worried about his 5v5 play and his board work and his decision making and at even strength. I'm talking about I don't like how he's playing the game on a man advantage.
I will say I think it's a bit awkward with the unit they were using because it was Brad Hunt at the top, like we talked about. Dude is gonna shoot the puck at will.
Yeah.
And then it was Jean-Luc Foudy on the other side, a dude who's absolutely looking to pass first.
Yeah, and running through some of the, as high as they were, running through Foudy when you know he's not going to shoot, it was very much like, why is he here? Why are you spending as much time kind of going through him? But even then, you've got to find a way to be effective. You have a man advantage. Like, you've got to, you got to put some work in, and I just didn't.
And again, for a guy who's 6'2", 6'3", fairly large, at least once you'd have loved to just see him put his head down and see what happens.
Yeah.
But he never
tried to make a play of some kind. Was really deferential and not effectively.
Yep. That whole line was disappointing in general. With him, it's just like, I think he was a guy that some Avs fans maybe have too high of expectations for this year.
Way too high.
I definitely think public perception is skewed on him.
People see, like, the Avs have first round picks all over their roster, but he's very much, like AJ said, a work in progress. And I've seen people talk about, oh, he's 19, he's going to have the same year Rantanen had in the AHL when he was 19. It's like, just relax. Like, let the guy develop at his own pace. Don't compare him to a top 15 NHL player. Like, they have somewhat similar skill sets, but they're not at all the way that they've developed, where he was playing last year compared to where Rantanen was his previous year. It's very different. Just like, he's a guy that, we always talk about, give these prospects a chance. If the Avs let him simmer in the AHL all year, that's completely cool with me. Unless he just completely blows up, which
right. Like, we've talked about, like, if a guy forces your hand, you feel good about that. You feel good about where that's gone. But until that happens, there's still so much work to do with that kid that.
Yep.
Yeah. Not too pressed about it.
Agreed. Okay. Sid, why are you in the penalty box?
Yeah, whatever did he do?
So he says he's been locked in here since McKinnon's Cup parade, and he doesn't know how to get out.
Wow. The guy next to him doesn't have any answers?
Nah, he's just been staring at him the whole time.
He's wearing that headset for
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, the headset's connected to nothing.
Damn. That's cold.
We are brought to you by FOCO. That's FOCO.com. You can go get all of your sports apparel and merchandise from them. They're officially licensed, obviously, for Avs, Nuggets, Broncos, all that. Or if you want a Sid bobblehead, they got those also. So you can go over to FOCO.com today. Go check them out. They got all sorts of stuff. Like I said, bobbleheads, Crocs, hats, underwear, you name it. They got you covered for all of your merch. What? Nothing to say, huh?
I just thought it would be odd to go and get some Sidney Crosby underwear.
I don't know. I doubt they have Crosby specific underwear. I think it's just like Penguins underwear. But,
you guys got Crocs?
I want a pair of Crocs with Crosby's face on it now. I'm not going to lie to you. Those would be horrifying.
You know who would wear the shit out of those?
Who?
Jesse.
Oh, yeah, he definitely would. Either way, go over to FOCO.com today. Use the DNVR code to get 15% off your order. We're also brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. They're having the Hootenanny, celebrating their 32nd birthday on October 8th and 9th down at the Farmhouse in Littleton. If you haven't checked out that place, it's a great place to get a beer. It's got a beautiful field where they'll have the event in with bands playing like the Spin Doctors and a bunch of local other bands too. Super cool event they're doing. And it times out nicely as a cool way to lead into the start of the proper NHL season. So should be a blast. Go check out breckbrew.com today to get tickets and find out more info for the Hootenanny. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, let's get into the guys where things start to actually matter, perhaps. I know that's a harsh way to put it, but realistically, everyone we've talked about now, up till now, was either not making the team or had already made the team, and it was very obvious. Where would you rather start on these guys? Do you want to start with Meyers, or do you want to start with Kaut?
I want to start with Meyers.
Okay.
Just because I think, we had said coming into the preseason, we don't have very high expectations. Like, we're not looking for him to dominate or anything. But if we were not sitting here as confident as we have been that he was going to make the team straight out of camp and be part of the roster math immediately, would we be talking about him on the outside looking in?
Yep. Given, I think especially his play today was pretty meh at best, and at times was actively bad. One of the goals Minnesota scored, Meyers just kind of floated away from the net area, and the rebound came right out to the guy that was supposed to be his.
And this comes on the heels of him losing his guy in overtime in Minnesota the other day.
Yep.
Have no idea how he played in that game beyond that one goal, but absolutely just lost his man defensively. And now you're seeing, okay, well, you've got two pretty blatant defensive zone miscues here, and defensively is an area where we saw a training camp where there were some issues that cropped up as well.
Yeah.
So this is a guy that is very much figuring it out on that side of the ice. And when the season opens and Cogliano, Helm, and O'Connor are actually Colorado's third line, the struggles of Ben Meyers defensively, I think, will be one of the reasons why he ends up short on ice time.
Yeah.
To start the year, because we're seeing it crop up, and Meyers just has not had a great, rookie tournament, preseason, training camp, now preseason games, all this and that. Like, it just has not been very good. Not gonna bury him, obviously. Still not worrying about him not making the team or anything. But I did send out a tweet tonight that if I said, where I said that, look, if I was just basing this roster competition purely off of how guys have played in the preseason so far, Martin Kaut would have surpassed Ben Meyers on my depth chart, even with 3 penalties in 2 games for Kaut.
2 of them are nonsense, but
Yep, agreed. But reality is he's got 6 penalty minutes in 2 games.
Yeah.
And I just think that's a disappointment, I guess.
You were hoping for more. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to call it a concern because I'm not worried about it, but it's just not. I'm just not overly impressed with his body of work to this point.
I think we all are. I think we all sent out like a similar tweet around the same time, but he is someone I did have expectations for because, like you guys talked about, we kind of have him locked in on the roster. When they signed him last year, it was kind of a future-facing move where, this is a cheap guy we're going to have next year. And tonight, the only times I really noticed him was I think twice in the second period, and that's when he actually started to skate. When he used his speed because he's a good skater.
You saw him jet through the neutral zone on that one play, and it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then he caused some chaos on the forecheck in the second period just because he can skate. So obviously there's something there. There's an adjustment there just overall with the NHL stuff. The one thing I thought it was interesting, the usage of him, where they had all these guys on the power play. He was not one of the guys they had on the power play. Considering the lineup they had, I thought that's somewhere they would want to put him to maybe see what he can do. But also they could just be looking at it and just say, hey, you need to work on your defense. We know what you can do offensively and defensively, because he was used on the PK at least. So it could just be that. So I just thought that was interesting.
I do also think it is fair to note that of the guys we're in this conversation, he has by far the least amount of pro experience. This is not a guy that's been toiling away in the AHL for a few. He has 5 NHL games played. End of list. He has no other pro experience. So there is still a big adjustment period for him. Speed of the game and, just the general rookie growing pains. So I don't want to feel like I'm kind of coming down on him a little bit here, saying he's been a disappointment so far, but proper context is important here. He is still a guy that is making that adjustment. And we saw a year ago, when Newhook was making it after his end of season stint, he struggled with it in his preseason last season too.
Yep. And I do think, given the Avs situation at the start of the season here, where Landy definitely won't be ready, Darren Helm, it's looking like who knows when exactly he'll be ready to fully go again. It would be pretty hard, given the way the Avs have acted and treated things so far, to see Meyers getting pulled out of the lineup, especially given, they probably have promised him some things to get him to sign, given who he was last offseason. But I do think it's an interesting conversation, and this is where you get into, as you mentioned, Martin Kaut and Charles Hudon as 2 guys that are trying to take some of those jobs, maybe from Meyers, but also from guys like Sedlak and Bleed.
Yeah.
Is Meyers, can he go through? He's not waiver. He doesn't have to worry about that, does he?
You don't have to worry about waivers, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, you mentioned Newhook. I could very much see a situation where if he's toiling at the start of the year, they sit down with him and say, hey, we're going to send you down there, but with the expectations that this is like a 2-week thing.
Get your
go
feet,
down there,
come back confident,
get some confidence, and then you'll be back. Because that worked for Newhook last year. And, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, because I think Newhook I would imagine he was kind of the same situation we're expecting to be in the NHL.
A fair point. Getting into, I guess we'll start with Hudon because he had the weaker day.
You could too. You could really build it around the global series as well. If you get because you're about 10 games into your season about that point, and if you send him down before you go to Finland, it gives him basically 3 weeks of AHL play before the Avs' normal schedule really kind of resumes. So, like, if you were in that situation, the schedule does present kind of a soft spot for
The
them.
Avs do have those extra 8 days off or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because they've got the 2 days, the 2 games in Finland, but they've got so many days off.
Yep.
Both before that, because before they only play 3 games the week before they go to Finland.
Yeah.
So it's not it is not a heavy schedule here. And then after they get back, they have 4 days off before they play Nashville at home. So I'm saying they've got that's like, if you're in that position, and obviously this is comically premature based on a preseason game, but if you are in that position, the schedule does give them an easy kind of out where they're like, hey, head on down to the AHL for a couple of weeks while we have this kind of soft portion of the schedule. Play a bunch for the Eagles and then come back up when we're back from that trip.
And it does give them the potential, like, you could expand this beyond Meyers, right? Like, doing that with one of their prospects does potentially give them the chance to get 5, 6, 7 games of bleed, get 5, 6, 7 games of Sedlak. And, if those guys can't hack it, then you can swap it out.
Well, and where you've got where this conversation is ultimately building, as he's the last guy for us to talk about, but Martin Kaut through a couple of games here has been really effective in the preseason. The penalties aside, which I think 2 of the 3 you could definitely have a conversation about being not penalties at all. You're liking his game. I thought he was engaged from the jump. Obviously Newhook scores the opening goal, but
he got himself open into that position.
Yeah, and he makes the move, and it's a nice save, whatever. But and Newhook does a good job following. But Kaut is an impact player most of the night here, and a 2-point night, and not like a cheap 2-point night, but well earned. It's hard work. It's good hockey. Put him in position for both the goal and the assist, and a good job finishing. So. For Kaut, and it's not even just the points, really. The points, it's great when you get those. Those stand out, but it's everything that he did. He was good on the forecheck. He played with the kind of pace that I really don't see him play with very often, which has kind of always been why I've said he might just be miscast in Colorado. But I thought he was getting up and down the ice well. He was moving well. He looked really comfortable. I just, for me, Martin Kaut, we're not doing player grades for the preseason, but I'd give him an A for tonight. I thought he was consistently effective and looked good in all the different facets.
And even the penalty, whether you think it was a penalty, I thought it was a pretty soft call, but
Dude.
That's one I think the staff would be like, we'll live with that because that's him trying to engage and be physical. It's not a hooking penalty. It's him trying to finish his check. Tonight was, I would say, the first time since that 9-game stint where he looked like Martin Kaut from that 9-game stint, where he was playing with pace and he was making really quick decisions with the puck.
Yeah.
The puck would come to him and he would catch a guy with speed and he'd hit him with the pass. And it was like, where has this Kaut been the last, it's been 3 years now? But it really was the first time that he looked like the guy we saw a few years ago.
I agree. You really saw the intelligence start to stand out tonight. He made a really nice play at the blue line to stutter step, wait for his guy to get back on, gain the zone, and then rip the pass across. There was a lot of not just the, hey, we want you to hustle and play like a hair on fire guy, but there was the things that make Kaut happening in this game too.
I would say one of the things that I liked the most about him also came in the defensive zone after Newhook had botched a zone exit. Kaut was the one who eventually got control of the puck and flipped it up and over, and at an angle his line needed a change badly, and he avoided the icing, put it into the soft part of the other zone where Minnesota had to go and chase it, but not such that it was an icing and it defeated the whole purpose. And they got a clean change out of it. That is the stuff that builds trust with the staff. Good, smart defensive play that allows them to get a safe change, get fresh bodies on the ice, and defend as Minnesota starts building up steam through the neutral zone again. That's the kind of stuff that you really need to see more of, and we saw tonight. That's the stuff that earns jobs. Like, the points are great. Of course the points are great. But it's the little things that really win you over and win over the trust of a coaching staff. When you have, right now, look, there's a 12th forward spot that's open. He's one of the guys that's in contention for it. Charles Hudon, I would say, should be in contention also. For me, Charles Hudon is fast and willing to mix it up. There isn't really anything else there for me. But I like those two things are consistent, and it's fine. And that got Logan O'Connor a job with the Avalanche. So with Hudon, I think there's more limitations, but I think that you're probably, and he is probably, more comfortable in terms of consistency.
It screams quadruple A player to me, right? He's the next Jason
Yes.
Megna or whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely.
Kiefer Sherwood, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. With Kaut, I think Rudo, you said, why isn't he being used on the penalty kill? He did get out there at the end of the game, and he had a nice pick-up in front of the net to end a rush there for the Wild. But, yeah, it's just more of the little things. And he was really good at digging pucks out, especially on the power play. He was just kind of supporting some guys because he doesn't have a big role in the power play. He's just kind of in the middle there. So, yeah, it's a step in the right direction, but, he needs to be consistent with this. I'm sure I think Bednar said tonight cuts are starting tomorrow. So he will almost certainly, based off tonight, get more games, and he's got to do it again.
Talk about Newhook in a second. Saw in chat people asking about our predictions shows. Yeah, those are coming. We're recording next Monday, so you'll start seeing those next week for the people that want the season previews and stuff.
Hold on. I think I've got 3 of the divisions. Oh, I actually did. I got all 4 divisions in there now.
There you go.
I can't Buffalo myself again. I got to think this through.
Dude, I have no idea what to make of the Metro this year, dude.
I'm excited for those conversations next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I went through every team tonight and was just like, bleh.
Anyway, yeah, those will come Monday. Alex Newhook. It's really hard for me not to roll out the red carpet for that guy to the 2C position the way his preseason has gone.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we didn't see the other game, but tonight he sure looked like a guy determined, and he looked like a guy who's very comfortable playing center. And AJ talked to him, and that's what he wants to do. That's where he's most comfortable, and he looked like it.
Yep. I mean, that's right now. Arturi Lehkonen, Alex Newhook, and Evan Rodriguez is your second line.
Well, and maybe the most encouraging thing about it is tonight you put him on a line with Hudon and Kaut, and not to take away from the great night that Kaut had, but you're asking Newhook to drive the bus on that line, and he drove the hell out of it. I mean, he was pushing the play every single time he got the puck. You saw him be effective on entries on the power play as well. It was really, really good.
Yeah, he was really good. He was dangerous. That line produced really like all of their real scoring chances.
Yeah.
And it was because they were just, between Kaut and Newhook especially, those two, I thought were really, I thought those two guys were primarily responsible for a lot of the scoring chances that they had.
And I didn't pay attention to faceoffs at all, but Altitude was bragging about he was like 8-1 in faceoffs after the first period, which is just a small thing that obviously a center they're going to want him to be decent at.
Certainly, in the sense of replacing what Kadri bought, I know he actually didn't do that great in the faceoff circle last year, and not like as usual, but still, if you're marking a check box and replacing that position, faceoffs, something in Newhook's corner, if he can keep that up.
Yeah, he won 12 of 17 tonight.
Against who knows the quality of faceoff guys on Minnesota's side tonight.
Sam Steele.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam Steele went 6 of 16.
Got straight bodied.
Nick Patan went 4 of 10. Stephen Fogarty went 5 of 10, and Samuel Walker went 2 of 7. And then they had some guys who took like a couple. So
Minnesota's AHL team not good at faceoffs. Got it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the Newhook performance has been good enough that it's hard to see much doubt in where that's heading at this moment.
If Newhook isn't the 2C on opening night, I'm gonna be looking at the roster the way that Sid is looking. I assume the referee in that picture.
It's looking at Rudo right now. Like,
Yeah. Who the hell is this guy?
Yeah. Why are you in here with me?
Okay. So any final thoughts on this game on preseason so far from either of you?
I'm ready for it to be over. I can't wait for 3 more games.
Yeah, I mean, luckily one of them is tomorrow, so we're just rolling right along,
Yeah.
man. Like just knocking them down.
Getting through it quick, but I came back from the first commercial break in the third period of this game and I was like, sweet God, there's 14 minutes left in this period.
Well, my sweet release of death moment was about 9:50 left to play, where I was like, "You're kidding me! 9 more minutes of this?" And then they called 3 more penalties in that time.
Couldn't even let it go. A penalty with 5 seconds left in the game.
Yeah. How many cuts are made tomorrow? One of them has to be Lucas Sedlak because he broke the rule. He took a penalty in the last 7 minutes of a 5-2 preseason game. Those are the rules. You got to go. You got to it's that time, baby. No, I don't think that. I'm not expecting meaningful cuts until after tomorrow's game.
Yeah.
And really, I'm truly not expecting real cuts until Saturday.
Yeah, I could see a lot of the forwards that play tonight actually playing again tomorrow, because that's really might be their last shot, because last 2 games might be the NHL guys going with it. So
yeah,
it's going to be a lot of the like Andreas Englunds and stuff like that, I would imagine, that are probably not going to be around here beyond tomorrow.
Yeah, because Bednar has said that he wants to get most of the guys into 2 preseason games after tomorrow. They've only got 2 left, so we're expecting the majority of the NHL lineup to be ready to rock. I will say Martin Kaut is doing enough to put real pressure on Alex Galchenyuk to actually step up and have a preseason. Like a real meaningful preseason.
To earn a job a little bit, yeah.
Not just get that job because he has 600 games played in the NHL.
Yep.
Like making him earn it a little bit. I think Kaut has put enough pressure on Galchenyuk then.
Sounds good to me. We'll see what happens through the rest of preseason. We will be back tomorrow. If the game is watchable, we will do a post game.
Yeah. If the game is not watchable, we'll do a fake post game.
Yeah. So tomorrow evening we will be live again. You can catch us there, and then stay tuned for Thursday's show. Got a pretty cool one coming for Thursday. You're gonna want to check that one out.
Yeah, we're gonna have we're gonna be at the practice facility, and we're gonna be accompanied by a player.
There you go. So should be a fun one.
We're allowed to talk about it now. So
yeah, I know, but we also the player we get might end up changing. So we'll see.
Which is why it's a player and not this is who we're hanging out with.
Player to be named later.
Yes, it literally is a player to be named later.
The most famous player of all time. Anyway, we're going to get out of here for the night. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us for a preseason game. Check out the DNVR. Megan working on some post-game stuff, I'm sure. So get that. We'll get out of here, and we will talk to you on the next one.